actually already know how to make a slab because you did it yesterday and on Monday. But I'm going to show you how to make them so that you can use them for your walls. Okay, so it's a little different, but very, very much the same. So first thing I need to do, I'm going to start with all the extra clay that I have. Okay. Now everybody's got a different amount of clay. Okay. Some of you have a lot, some of you have a little, but whatever you have left, you're going to use this to start you off for your walls. Okay. Now this is not enough to give you even probably once around, so you'll need to come up and get extra clay from me. Okay. So remember that before you start anything at all, you should always wedge your clay. I don't care if you just got brand new clay from me or not, you always start by wedging. And I've pointed out to all the classes, I'm not sure if I showed you guys, but you can even see that there's some discoloration on this clay, that brand new clay. So it's a little lighter here on the outside, and you can kind of see how the inside's darker. A lot of that's just because it just wasn't mixed, the outside of the block was mixed a little different than the inside. So even when you have new clay, you still got to be careful. Okay, so I'm just going to start with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wedge these together, okay? So remember, when you wedge, you are using that meaty part of your thumbs, okay? And because I'm here at the table, I am mostly kind of pushing down onto the board, but when you're over there against the wall or on the counter, you should be kind of pushing towards the wall and pushing this board towards the wall. If you're not doing that, then you're probably doing it wrong. I can't do that because I'm here at this table. So I'm just kind of smushing this clay into itself like this. And then I just kind of rotate it every once in a while. So I'm just not doing it, I'm not just wedging the clay just one way. Now this is, for those of you that still need to make your base, this is the exact same thing that we started off the bases. So you're following the same steps. Okay. I'm not going to wedge this a whole lot because I want to be able to show you guys how to do this. And my demos are going to get re-wedged up anyway, so they're not going to get fun. All right, so after you wedge it again, what did I say is a good time frame for wedging? How long should you wedge for? What did I give you? How many minutes? Like 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes is good. All right. Now remember too, you will see all this kind of different layers and stuff where the clay kind of folded on itself. That's nothing to worry about, okay? After you get into the block, then you want to start taking your fist and just kind of get it started. You don't want to try to roll all that out when it's in that big cube. It's just going to take too long. I've had a couple kids actually yesterday that actually kind of hit it out a little too thin. So you want to make sure that when you do this, you're not hammering it down too thin. You just want to get it started. Okay, so there's my start. Remember, you're always going to use these 2 dowel sticks, and you put these on either side. You always need to make sure that these are just a little bit on the outside of your wedge, because when you start rolling this out, it is going to kind of smush out, okay? You have to make sure, Asa, your hair's okay. Okay, when you guys use these, you need to make sure that they are actually underneath your rolling pin. Because if they're not, then you're probably going to roll it out too thin or too thick, okay? So when you start rolling, you roll where? Do I roll here on the outside or in the middle? In the middle, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm really pushing down on this rolling pin, okay? And I'm just kind of rocking it back and forth. Now this is a little hard for me because I'm on the table. Works out a lot easier over there. Now, I do this for a little bit. Now, if you still have to make your base, okay, you have to make sure that you roll out your clay well enough that, it could be kind of wide enough and long enough to fit this circle. So if I was making a base right now, I would turn it around and flip it over and start rolling it out again. But I'm not making my base today. I am starting to make my walls, and I want to make this slab as long as I possibly can, so then hopefully I can do a whole layer all at once without having to worry about attachments. So when I do this, I'm just going to flip it over. I'm not going to turn it, okay? And again, I'm going to make sure those dowel sticks on either side. And then I may have to move these just so I can follow the length of the slab. Move this down. And there you go. And I'm going to do this until there is no more clay to roll out. And I'll know that when I see the clay, you know, no longer moving and I don't get any resistance on my rolling pin. So I'm good, okay? So my slab is made, okay? Now, I need to cut this so I can make walls, okay? This information is up on the wall too, in case you guys forget any of this. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna give myself a nice straight edge here on the one side. And this is just so that I have something to measure off of. So I'm just gonna take my ruler, I'm gonna put it up against this one side, and I'm just going to trim off just a little bit here. So again, I have a nice straight edge to start with, okay? Any little bit of clay you take off, just kind of wedge it back up. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to measure off of this, okay? Now, I am not a good coil maker. Traditionally, the way you guys make coils is you just take clay and you kind of roll it out like this. I have never been good at that. I have one part that's really thick and one part that's really thin. So what I did in college was like, well, a coil is basically a slab. If I need it to be a 1/2 inch thick, I'm just going to make short slabs. So technically, I could make a slab or a coil by just doing this. And what I would do is mark off a 1/2 inch. And that's a coil. The other thing that I liked about doing it this way too is I had a nice flat edge that I could score and slip very easily and attach to my walls. Now, here's the thing that's really cool about the slabs, the way that they are right now, is that I can make these as tall as I want to. Now, I don't recommend making your slab any taller than 3 inches, because you get a little bit taller than 3 inches, it gets a little floppy. So you can make basically your slabs any height between a 1/2 inch to 3 inches tall. Now what I'm gonna do, just to kind of get things started, I'm just gonna do 2 inches. And so what I'm gonna do is just measure off this straight edge I have here, just 2 inches. And I'm gonna try to get as many slabs as I can out of this. And it looks like I'm only gonna get 2. So then what I'm gonna do is after I mark it, I'm just gonna use my ruler, cut there, cut here. This is gonna be scrap again, so there's not enough for me to use. I'm gonna kind of wedge that up in my hands so that's together. So this will then, when I go back to get more, will get added to my other clay, my new clay. So these are my 2 slabs, okay? Last thing I'm gonna do just to kind of finish it off is I'm just gonna cut these uneven edges off. Again, it's gonna make it easier for me to add the clay together. So, take that and put that. So, I got 2 slabs out of there, and what you can do is just stack them up like this, and then what you do is you take these back to your table. So all of what I just did is gonna be done over there at the counter. So you're gonna make your slabs over there, wedge your clay over there. You'll do all your building at your table, okay? So, show you how that's going to be done. So I'm going to move this stuff, because these are all the tools. So you can stop that one.